A very good morning to you and you're welcome to Good Morning Ghana. It's the 19th of July 2021 and we come across to you from the studios here at Peniel and at North Ridge. So we'll give you the details of the newspapers, but the first information that I want to give you is about the late President Mills. So on the 24th of July, just Saturday, that's this coming Saturday, at 8 a.m. prompt, there will be a night wreath-laying ceremony for the late His Excellency President J.A. Mills at the Asumdwe Park. Anyone who wants to participate must be in mask. There's going to be very strict protocols of COVID-19 observed. So 24th of July 2021, the ninth wreath-laying ceremony will be done at the Asumdwe Park in memory of the late President J.A. Mills. So that's just an announcement I want to put across before we go into the newspapers, and I start off with the Daily Graphic. It says that President Speaker must deepen peace, Otumfuo urges. President Speaker must deepen peace, Otumfuo urges. AG petitions court to dissolve QNet Limited, accuses company of fraud, illegality. 9 MPs table motion for CSR law enactment. That's for the front page of the Daily Graphic. The Ghanaian Times will reap full benefits of after if Ghanaians learn French language. President. Health alert. Government bans importation of poultry products following outbreak of bird flu in parts of country. 6 die, others injured in separate accidents in Ashanti region. Terrorism, piracy activities in West Africa. Ghana faces threat from sub-region as attack increase in Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire. Daily Guide. Government plans new development agenda. Bird flu strikes again. AG move to close down 3 Ponzi schemes. $5 million bribe against CJ Baloni Bako. Privileges war breaks out in Parliament. Comes with a picture of Kennedy Japan. The New Crusading Guide. Government tightens measures against terrorism. The top right corner says, apology to Samia Oku, Assemblies of God Church. AUCC tops all adjudged best private university in Com studies, that's a communication studies. And then Asabi charges MPP chairpersons to energize grassroots for Victory 2024. Farouk rallies TESCON for MPPs break the 8th agenda. NPP inaugurates Welfare Fund Steering Committee. The Insight. Brouhaha over salary of presidential spouses. Fema Buzia attacks President Akufo-Addo, accuses him of fleecing and the state through Oyerepa support project. So it comes to the pictures of Nana Fema Buzia and His Excellency. Then demonstration. Fix the country protest set for August 4. Foreign trained Ghanaian doctors express anger over licensure exams. What we know about who is behind the assassination of Haiti's president, that's also details captured in the Insight newspaper. The Informer. Ghana's poorly negotiated agreements, TUC, CDD, lash out at Parliament, say the Legislative Assembly has failed Ghanaians. Controversy over MP's car loan. You will talk through as Okujetu beats retreat. In this issue, towards changing society, venture into active politics. Bishop reinforced call by Pope to Catholics. Entrenching a Tamil's legacy. AMI celebrates 2nd anniversary, lines up week-long activities in his memory. For assiduously working digitizing Ghana's economy, Baumia awarded adjudged Africa's best digital revolutionary leader. That story is on page 4. Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been adjudged Africa's digital revolutionary leader of the decade following his immense contribution towards digitizing Ghana's economy. In recognizing the Vice President's valuable and indispensable efforts towards digitizing Ghana's manual system, a non-governmental organization that focuses on governance, poverty reduction, empowerment, and human resource development said of Dr. Bawumia, upon your assumption of office as Vice President of Ghana, we recognize that you have redirected Ghana's manual system to that of digitization to fast-track the national development agenda. Is it a Ghana organization? Or I wanted to actually find out, but I can't read the whole story now. Let's go into the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor. IGP's exits and matters arising. Kokonsa in police service. And it comes with a picture of Nana Hesse Odri, who made waves over the weekend. Sexist comments. Nana Odri is mad. I wish the mad would have been put in quotes, but writing it raw like that it's not fair. Not fair. Dr. Prempeh wishes Menshia South Muslims well. And then we also have multimedia group successful coverage of Euro 2020. But honest police officer honored, and that's on the top right corner of the Inquisitor. The Herald. Court grants MPP women's organizer bail for fraud. Chief in CJ's bribery case chasing Vodafone for $16 million. Intense grilling awaits special prosecutor at Thursday vetting. Gabi and Anas names to pop up. Mustafa have made promises to make NPA financially viable. The Statesman. President commissions National Mosque Complex. Government mobilizes efforts against terrorism, calls on citizens for support. 2022 to 2025 development policy framework to be ready soon. 2022 to 2025 development policy framework to be ready soon. All right, the Searchlight newspaper. Terrorism, piracy threaten Ghana. Government citizens to commit to further action. First Lady deserves benefits from the states. Concerned Okainshi market women are the ones saying this. Consultation on National Policy Framework complete NDPC. Then we also have some announcements here. Declaration of Tuesday, 20th July 2021 as statutory public holiday. So the general public is reminded that Tuesday, which is tomorrow, 20th July 2021, which marked Eid al-Adha, is a statutory public holiday and should be observed as such throughout the country. The Publisher. Continue to foster unity. President urges Muslim community at opening of National Mosque. Media is not our enemy. Afenyo marking. Bird flu kills over 10,000 birds on 7 affected farms. Terrorism and piracy alert. Government citizen to stay alert. And that's at the top right corner of the Ghanaian Publisher. The Custodian. The Custodian. Government rallies citizens to fight terrorism and piracy. Let's make NPA financially viable. CEO is talking to management. Continue to promote religious tolerance in Ghana. Akufo-Addo urges Sharubutu. And we also have, we deserve better incentives. Assembly members cry out. The Daily Post. Akufo-Addo's boy reveals sexual crave for children. And gets busted. And gets blasted. This headline is mean. Kennedy and Japan chairing Security Committee in Parliament because President Akufo-Addo endorses his horrible behavior. NP is talking. Which MP is talking? Okay. The top right corner of Daily Post. Ndogbe wonders why the Akufo-Addo Flagstaff House cannot govern without reliance on production and dissemination of fake news. The BNFT Poor mobilization will prolong recovery efforts. Fidelity Bank report is revealed. Industry subsidizing presidential power must stop. Industry subsidizing residential power must stop. AGI to government. And it says thousands of jobs at risk as after competition beckons. PURC's impending major tariff review must correct ills. And then other headlines. NPA will deliver world-class service to stakeholders. Chief Executive, that is Mustafa. And then the tax policy design remains ineffective. Only 12% of youth in agric use technology. Only 12% of youth in agric use technology. Banking sector cleanup. Nigerian convictions offer lessons to ongoing cases. Stanbic Bank honors police constable. And then we also have the Economic Times. Banks allocate higher funds to government securities. Tour revitalization, private hands and enterprising leadership needed. Economy rebounds strongly in second quarter. Fitch Solutions has also indicated. And that's it for the Economic Times. Wrapping up on the newspaper headlines this morning on Good Morning Ghana. My name is Annie Efampofu. We'll go for a breather. We'll be back shortly.
The search for a reliable partner. We also at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile. The pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
Did you know that cloth handkerchief gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it? Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchiefs. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief. The Flora toilet roll, Flora multi-purpose paper towels, Flora table napkins, and Flora box tissues in a shop near you. For both purchases, call Delta Paper Mail on 0243 033 033.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Kofi Capito, I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the rights of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capito Show on Metro TV.
All right, you're welcome back. All right, You're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro TV. I have already been joined in the studio by Gabriela Tete, a member of the NDC communications team. We're still expecting Frances SCM to join us shortly. Gabriela, you're welcome. Good morning.
Thank you, Annie. Good morning.
How was the weekend?
Tiring, but we survived.
Mine was tiring as well. Very tiring. In fact, I was annoyed coming to work this morning. I was just, I'm tired.
Why?
Well, it was tiring over the weekend as well. Oh, no. Greater Works activities hasn't started yet.
I saw your post. You were busily dancing and jiggling. And
we're in church. I was in church. And you know, before we start Greater Works, there's about 4 weeks sort of Yellow Sunday.
Okay.
Yes. So it's one of it was the first Yellow Sunday after the 40-day fasting and prayer.
Why yellow?
That's been our color for Greater Works.
Okay. Has nothing to do with the land flowing with milk and honey. And bees.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes there are different colors of the T-shirts, but the main color has been yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Interesting.
Yes, except that annually it changes. The designs in the T-shirts changes, but the main theme color has been yellow.
Yeah, Greater Works is big. I mean, even those of us who are not members of your church do follow online sometimes, especially when you have your musical concerts at the...
Independence Square.
Yes. I remember there was this particular one that you had people should sow seeds.
Yeah.
And the figures were amazing.
Oh.
And I remember a lot of people were like, we've monetized Christianity. But the concert is good. I like gospel music, so it's always a pleasure watching free gospel shows on TV.
Free gospel shows. I'd rather not comment on that issue, but very soon you find the conference no more at Independence Square, but at the new Christ Temple edifice somewhere around Teshi. I'm not so familiar with the area, but somewhere around Teshi. It's a bigger temple. It's a bigger temple than what was at Kaneshi here, and a bigger space. It gives us all the space that we needed at Independence Square. Yes, so very soon we'll fight with people over Independence Square. We'll have our own space too.
I've joined your, I think, Holy Ghost Temple, the Adenta Prophet Anos branch.
Yes, you went
a couple of times. On Thursdays, you have this prayer hour. So when I'm around the area or when I'm home and there's some time on my hand, I'll go and sit there to collect anointing and come back home.
The sowing seeds, they all believe in the sowing of seeds.
No, I'm there for the prayer.
You're there for the prayer for free.
Yeah, it's a prayer.
Anyway, so on that note, I just want to say good morning to my pastor, Anthony Kujo. He is the head pastor for Calvary Temple. So maybe when you pass around Sakumono, come there.
Okay.
You will enjoy it.
I'll come and watch you sing.
Oh, okay, fine.
What to then? Alto
soprano.
Hey.
But me to alto so.
Really? So you can do solo?
My voice is not that bad.
So you can do solo?
Oh, yes. Ask.
Okay, after the show, please you sing for me.
No, ask Joyce Bauer.
My favorite solo song is Ekuwemi. So when we finish the show, please.
You know, that one I cannot
prepare.
My witnesses are very close to you, Joyce Bauer. Just ask her, she'll tell you. Anyway, so yeah. The weekend was quite, engaging for me. Yesterday, I tried taking a little off rest, but I still came to work anyway. So, you can't get it any better. All right, so let's go into the issues, and we'll talk about the looming, or now the existing situation that we're facing with bird flu. Our poultry farmers have started complaining. It says that the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association has expressed fears that the outbreak of a highly pathogenic avian influenza disease, also known as bird flu, in parts of the country will have a negative impact on their businesses and could collapse their farms. According to the association, the COVID-19 pandemic severely affected their businesses, and the outbreak of the infectious disease presents a precarious situation. The president of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association, Michael Nyako Ampim, said in an interview on CTFM that before the announcement of the outbreak of the disease, poultry farmers were struggling to feed for their birds, which led to low production. Now, quote, it is now a double blow because we are reeling under the unavailability of maize and other resources for production, and then this outbreak comes in. It is a big blow and really going to affect the way we do things, because the government said importation of day-old chicks from neighboring countries that have been affected has been banned. So it is going to affect the already precarious situation and make it worse. It is not pleasant. It's not a pleasant time for poultry farmers, he said, while urging the public to report any unusual death of domestic poultry and wild birds to authorities. Michael Nyako and Pim requested for the government to for a quick solution to the shortage of poultry feed. Ministry of Food and Agriculture over the weekend announced that there is an outbreak of a highly pathogenic avian influenza disease, also known as bird flu, in parts of the country. I mean, what I want to find out from you is, you know, when we have such announcements made or such disaster hitting us, especially in our agri sector, we don't seem to have a readily available solution to counter what we're faced with. I remember when the what is that? Is it Guinea? What's it called? These insects that were destroying our farms.
Locust.
Was it the locust?
Locust
just recently. I don't even know if we solved the problem, because it was still, the last time I read the story.
The army worms.
The army worms, exactly. The last time I read the story, we're still facing the problem. I don't know if it's been solved. When we have issues like this hitting the agri sector, we don't seem to have a ready available solution. You know, we always struggle and it destroys us. It gets to a certain point.
Well, it all has to do with the amount of money that you allocate to the sector, and then how much is actually disbursed. Because year on year, we hear through the budget how much government is giving to the Ministry of Agri for crop production and animal husbandry. But we still see within the market space of a dependence on imports, and crop farmers complaining about items like fertilizers and other inputs not getting to them on time. We also hear from others complaining about the feed not available. For example, with this issue with poultry, you mentioned that we're currently having a challenge with maize because of the late commencement of the rainy season, and this is actually a natural order and not really man-made. But the challenge of it is that we are now recording low production of maize, and we have to offset that with importation. With the low production of maize, definitely demand exceeds supply and prices have gone up. Currently, a bag of maize that was going for about 215 Ghana cedis is between the region of 317 Ghana cedis and 350 Ghana cedis a bag. And that is if you are lucky to even get the product, you know. So I think, again, it comes back to issue of how much we disburse, how much we invest in the sector. And there are government policies also to support farmers when these disasters arise. I don't know if there's something called agricultural insurance, and I don't know how prominent it is in Ghana. Because you see, in some developing countries, even when there are issues with low rainfall, in agricultural insurance policies, they make provision for such inadequacies to cover the farmers. If their farms are destroyed by what we're just talking about, the army worms infestations, there's insurance to deal with that. And then aside having a pragmatic solution to solve that problem. Now on the issue of the avian flu, It's currently in 3 regions. Amongst the 3, the least affected is Volta region because their stock that was destroyed, I think it's not even up to 1,000. But the worst hit is Greater Accra and Central region. And I think that we should keep an eye also on Eastern region because a lot of the poultry farms are located in the Eastern region. We get a lot more eggs from Eastern region. Currently, you mentioned about 10,000 farms. Yes, the virus killed roughly about 6,000 of the livestock and the rest had to be destroyed to protect the other livestock. So I'd like to appeal to farmers, poultry farmers who are listening to us this morning at this time, that they should be monitoring their animals, their birds, and then single out sick ones on time before it becomes an issue on your farm. Usually when avian flu strikes poultry farms, they don't do 1 or 2 birds. It can do like 1,000, 2,000. It can take out a whole flock of about 30,000 birds. And that's a lot of money, looking at how much it costs to invest in a poultry farm. Aside buying of feed, how much you spend on feeding, the time that you also dedicate to nurturing these birds so you could sell them. It's good that we are putting an embargo on the importation of poultry from neighboring countries. Because if you know the history of this current problem that we are confronted with, the avian flu hits our sister countries, I think, early this year, sometime late December, early January. That is when Togo and Cote d'Ivoire reported cases of avian flu. It's taken roughly about 6 months for it to get here. I want to commend the Center for Disease Control for whatever they were doing to curtail the problem now, but unfortunately for us, we have it. And this is the first time we're actually experiencing avian flu in this country. I mean, something that we get regularly. So veterinary services, I think we should help them also with more logistics and resources so they can keep an eye on poultry farms and assist farmers whose birds are sick and who also need some treatment for their sick birds. It will be sad if these products get on the market and people have to consume it. It's not as dangerous per se to humans, but we still don't want it on the market. So I think that
when you say it's not as dangerous to humans, what do you mean? In consuming it?
It's not like when you get corona. They are all flu viruses.
Oh,
but
so
the symptoms is not that deadly, that lethal to humans, even though you fall sick and all that. And then also, you know, there's a government policy over the years. Subsequent governments have tried to cut down on the importation of poultry. I remember that in our time we had a policy, we invested about 30 million into the poultry sector. And we had a program that all importers, after they get their license to import, have to show us proof of a local content partner who will give 30% allocation, and then they can import 70%. So we started the process of developing capacity locally. This government, through the Rearing for Food and Jobs, has also continued with that program. So it will be sad if in our attempt to grow the local poultry industry, we are confronted with a large-scale pandemic, which I pray we don't experience. But it will be sad if we have to go through that, which means that we then have to allow people to be importing quantities of poultry again, and that will offset the growth that domestic mobilization has been able to feed into the poultry value chain, supply chain. So in conclusion, to conclude on this thing, I think surveillance should be improved. Veterinary services to poultry farmers. Poultry farmers should also increase their own surveillance and monitoring of their farms and report cases on time to save their own birds. We need to look at agricultural insurance policies to support some of our local farmers in times such as these. And also, if we can also focus a bit more on working at improved animals varieties who can withstand some of these diseases, you know, in more
How
developed.
does it solve a problem like this? If we have
Because if you work at improving the bird, then they have a more resistant capacity against viruses and other diseases. In more sophisticated countries, they spend a lot of money on research and development into developing these kinds of livestock. If I recall, there are some cattle that were left at Asomdwe Park. They're like some serious heavy bulls. Those varieties of cattle are not normal breed cattle. They were cattle that have been beefed up, quote unquote, you know, and they were introduced into the Ghanaian livestock production chain.
so it's sort of a mixed breed.
It's a mixed breed, and it develops more muscles. They are thicker. They are more heavily built.
Okay.
You know, they were brought in to help us upgrade, for want of a better expression,
the type of breed that
bull,
we have.
bull breeds. Yes.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's not just with this. The other varieties that I think CSIR does something like that. But again, it comes to how much logistics, how much support you give them, because research and development is expensive. But the end result will benefit the country in terms of improved varieties of livestock that are more resistant to diseases, that have more muscle development, and perhaps even taste better. You know, local chicken tastes better than imported chicken. It just happens that the local chickens are more skinny than the imported
And their
ones.
bones are hard.
I don't chew bones. My teeth
I
are
chew
too small
bones.
for that.
But that's true. Local chicken, they taste better than foreign.
Yeah, it has
foreign
more
chicken.
flavor.
Yeah.
They eat all kinds of things.
They don't eat foreign feed. I remember last time we were
They
talking
eat
about
bran
they-
and maize. And what do they call it? Fish. What's the name of that product? Fish something. Fish feed.
fish feed.
Fish feed.
That's all we give to the local.
Many of the poultry
Birds.
farms. Many of the poultry farms. That's what they give their birds.
I see. You know, you mentioned that we have to put in more money. It depends on how much we invest in it. But sometimes the investment might go, but we don't have the necessary technology to support it. So money is going into it, but it's really yielding more or less. I mean, I just really recall how we struggled with the armyworm infestation, and I couldn't understand what was going on if we were putting so much money, as the agri minister was, saying.
The truth of the matter is that we do promise in the budget hefty sums, but when it comes to the actual allocations in the disbursements, it's just roughly about 50 or 60% if you are lucky
Yeah.
of allocated funds that actually gets to the agencies involved. It's just a simple thing. Do we raise enough revenue? Do we have enough money to invest in these products? In agriculture, you know, before the services sector became the number one in our economic, what do they call it? I've forgotten the term. Agriculture was the mainstay of this country. And agriculture has the opportunity, creates the opportunity to enable countries to create more jobs across various value chains. If, aside poultry and livestock and crops, even horticulture,
Yeah.
and as you mentioned, machinery.
Yeah.
Currently, a lot of the agri machinery, I think it's mostly imported. The tractors, for example, if you've been following the news, government imports 1,000 tractors. Usually, you go and find out who the beneficiaries are, and some of the names will shock you. But it's gone to big names who rent it out to small farmers, because the actual small farmers can't pay 17,000 for a tractor. You know, so but yet they are the beneficiaries of the program. There are a lot of agencies within the ministry, under the Ministry of Trade, and then even under the Ministry of Agriculture itself, that has responsibility to create the technology to support these industries. Again, are we allocating enough funds for them to be able to deploy that technology? Under the Ministry of Trade, when you go to Gratis Foundation, the kind of equipment they mold for rural enterprises, small businesses, is amazing. But yet you ask how many Ghanaians patronize equipment from Gratis. These days everybody rather will import from China, because you think that that is probably because they also are not aware that there's an institution called Gratis that has the capability to construct equipment for small-scale manufacturing, light manufacturing. Ideally, it still comes back to the same thing. It's leadership, it's deployment of resources, and it's also about awareness of some of these enterprises, making themselves known to Ghanaians.
So the Ghanaian publisher says that the Director of Veterinary Services Directorate of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Patrick Abake, has disclosed that 7 farms have so far been affected with the avian influenza in the country. 7 farms. Now, he said in all 5,811 birds died naturally on the affected farms, while the veterinary services has also destroyed 4,500 birds. The director said the disease affected 5 farms in Greater Accra, with 3,167 birds dead naturally and 300 destroyed. It affected 1 farm in the central region with 2,400 birds dying naturally and 4,200 destroyed. Take note of the numbers I mentioned. These are big numbers, sort of, and we're destroying these birds within this very short period that we recorded the disease. It also affected 1 farm in the Volta region with 224 birds dying naturally. Dr. Abake, in an interview with Ghana News Agency, said the bird flu disease was first detected on July 6 and samples taken to the laboratory and confirmed on July 8, 2021. A statement from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture confirmed the outbreak of the highly pathogenic avian influenza disease in 3 regions. So the ministry therefore declared a total ban on the importation of the poultry products from neighboring countries where the prevalence of the disease had been confirmed. It has also placed a ban on the movement of poultry and poultry products within and from affected regions and districts to other parts of the country, and strict inspection and issuance of permits to cover the movement of all poultry and poultry products from unaffected parts of the country. So the zoonotic nature of the disease calls for public alerts and vigilance to mitigate the policy impacts on the poultry industry and public health in general, the statement cautioned. Now let's pick this story, because we were talking about technology, why we always go to China. This is in the Business and Financial Times. It says that a report by Heifer International Ghana has revealed that only 12% of the youth involved in agriculture have adopted some form of technology for the operations. It was observed among youth survey for the research that 37% had access to finance, 14% of training amounted to some 12%. These were the 3 key barriers to youth engagement in agriculture in Africa. So it was observed that there is a low agriculture tech adoption across the surveyed countries, with only 23% of youth engaged in agriculture using any form of agriculture technology. Moreover, access to land or ownership is a major cause of concern, as 59% of youth surveyed indicated they lack both. The research, which was carried in East, West, and Southern Africa, was aimed at understanding the challenges which have led to decreasing farm productivity and dwindling incomes among African smallholder farms. It also sought to understand the challenges of technology adoption by smallholder farms in Africa and youth participation in agriculture, their fears and their impact on food security. It also served as a base for the launch of Heifer International Invasion Africa Agriculture 2030 program. Launching the report, interim country director for Heifer International Ghana, Ewabena Yanyi Akufe, noted that a total of 29,954 youth, 299 smallholder farmers, and 110 agriculture-focused organizations completed a online survey. The data collected, is representative of 11 African countries, with each country contributing at least 5% to 13% of total data sets. The report is quite long, so I'll end it here.
No surprises there. No surprises there, because even if you take Ghana, with the planting for food and jobs, what the government did was to put the youth into cooperatives. Now, what that does is that you have better access to lands as a group. Then the government is able to give you seedlings or seeds, inputs, fertilizers, equipment. They're able to support you with extension services. They aim to help you grow your farms and then, quote unquote, more like commercialize those farms. But the truth of the matter also is that as a country, our agriculture is predominantly very local and typical primary equipment, hoe, cutlass. If you are lucky, you find some poor donkey used to drag some plow to till up the soil. And when it's time to clear the land, they go and set the whole place on fire to burn the land, and then they start growing crops again. The practices are still mostly primitive. But that's also because, again, as a country, the way we drive policy into that area. For me, planting for food and jobs, and what started it, the Maple project, which became the Planting for Food and Jobs project, for me was the way to go to develop young people's capacity in agriculture. But over the weekend, listening to the Agric Minister also complaining that they ran out of money and they owe suppliers, they owe fertilizer suppliers and all these issues with it.
Right.
I don't see that. I don't think that we're going anywhere again. And it's typical of the development dynamics of this country. But if we stayed the course and if we improved and invested heavily in that area, appropriate technology can be deployed. Now, what do you mean by appropriate technology? When you go to CSIR again, you see, what I don't understand about this country is that all the things you need to get to where you want to be exist in this country. But the question is, how do you make it work? If you go to CSIR, they have all kinds of inventions, equipment they've designed and fabricated that you can use to support smallholder farms. But who pays attention to CSIR? I was talking about Gratis earlier. Gratis also does fabrications in agriculture machinery as well. Go to the Ministry of Agriculture itself, and then they'll show you what they have imported in plows, in cultivators, in all kinds of equipment, and we are still not achieving that desired output that we desire. So obviously something is wrong in the program, and I think that there's nothing wrong with going back to basics and then trying to fit where the challenges are. If it's planting for food and jobs, I'll finish and then you can go on the break. If it's planting for food and jobs, we know that it's an avenue to create jobs. It's an avenue for us to feed ourselves and to cut down on importations. All well and good. Why don't we dedicate the money that will help us to achieve that aim? And why don't we set up proper monitoring systems that was able to monitor and make sure that we have some proper outputs at the end. Because when a agric minister comes and tells me that under planting for food and jobs, we are now exporting plantain. And we've always been exporting plantain to Burkina. And a finger and a bunch of plantain cost 5 cedis. When I go to my market and I'm buying 5 fingers of plantain for 10 cedis, then obviously if the leader and what is happening on the ground are two disparaging angles, then there's something wrong. So I would wish, they say wishing is not a strategy, but when you're in opposition, you can only wish. I would wish that government will take agriculture much more seriously, especially looking at the teeming youth that we have in this country, many of whom coming from the rural areas and are not highly skilled. They don't want to work on their parent farms because they think that there's something better out here. But we need them to produce and to feed us and to create the necessary raw materials for industry. But we need to make agriculture interesting, rewarding. I've heard people say make agriculture sexy. Well, that will only be sexy if you find a charming man and dressed him and he said he was a commercial farmer like John Domelo. So perhaps you should take John Domelo as your ambassador.
So perhaps, I mean, every time I see him, I keep looking at the picture. I'm like, this guy is just making me so proud. It's so amazing how he goes. He's
always in the bush.
And he's farming on ginger.
Mushrooms and ginger. I mean, he's doing well.
They're very unusual crops that you won't even think of.
But there's a lot of money in herbs.
Yes.
And ginger is a herb.
Yes. People are beginning to even accept more of. I don't cook with all these Maggi and things. I'd never put. If you taste my food, you won't taste Maggi. Let's go for a quick bit. I'll be back shortly.
Obia says AC. Tresse, it will gold-plated things. Yet the copper pipes for pebi na ye. Gasia, and for how biam rodas and ibia, and a goom. And yet the day, Tansu a 4-in-1 filter system. 80 from a free mubano. Aye kroji. AC, yet the horsepower neto. High sense kasa aye 2.5. Aye 2.5. Kululu pianim. Yet the abapiamo. Aye high sense AC super promo. Date near 26 July. Akobim 8 August 2021. Upe Asia Efe. Na eche. Na chili. Na entry power. Aye high sense AC. Comfort to yemi. 26th July. Akobim 8 August. Madam Hisense. Matiti Suse. Who? 5 years warranty. Adasutia. Hisense and Kwane to me yasama. Hisense. Everyday prices for everyday people.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. See, James has always watched football wherever he can. Sometimes it got awkward. It was never really comfortable. And finding a good place to watch became more and more difficult, not to mention costly. Traveling for his games took its toll on James until he discovered something big. Now that James has GoTV, he can finally enjoy the perks of home ground advantage. Good for you, James. Get home ground advantage with GoTV. With superstar players competing in the world's biggest leagues and cup competitions, you'll be spoiled for football choice. So get and stay connected to GoTV for the best football season yet. GoTV. Love it.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Ghana. We're talking about agriculture, and there are some, when you're talking technology. So I think most of our people now get to China for assistance because they see a lot of, and we'll have a video, we'll put it on very soon when the video is ready. The producers will let us know, and then you can have an idea of what the Chinese deploy. I mean, they plant like we plant. They do, recently there's been the issue of cocoa production, and I to a large extent, I think our authorities actually underestimated it with the cocoa production that they are getting into. And I said, China just flew a cloth in your face, and you're underestimating it.
Because according to our agric minister, again, the location where they are growing the cocoa crop, it's not a large place, but it's almost the size of Greater Accra region.
That is not a large place.
You know, where they are growing this crop. But if you know the Chinese very well, they are very good at research and development.
Yes.
And they invest a lot of money into that area. I
interviewed Fifi Buffo on that, and I remember he told me that even if they want to grow the type of cocoa we grow, we know our cocoa is quite rich, which makes it the second best in the world. So if they want to get same quality as ours.
But the thing is that they are not growing it to get the same quality as us. They are growing it because they also want to become cocoa producer. Indonesia and Malaysia grow cocoa. Latin America grows cocoa. It's not just Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire that grow cocoa. You understand? But China is importing large quantities of cocoa. Seed, beans, powder, liquor. So for them, they are just trying to offset their importation of the product.
Raw material.
The raw material. And you see how they can also grow their own cocoa. So it will not taste like Ghana cocoa. Well, if you know chocolates very well, Ecuador cocoa is much better compared to Ghana cocoa. Ghana cocoa is sweeter compared to South Asian cocoa. But all of them are demanded because they are used for different purposes. It's like when you buy a Coke, you can go with sugar, you can go with zero sugar, you can go with Coke Light. There are variations. And interestingly, it is the same in our cocoa production. We are premium and we attract premium price because of how our product over the years is grown and the taste and the sweetness. But that has not stopped all the other countries from growing cocoa. You understand? And in any case, on the Chinese issue, the price they requested, the international market paid for their cocoa, was even closer to what we are selling as premium. How so? Think about that. It's food for thought. So they may not be able to compete on the scale that we are, but the fact of the matter is that they are joining the league of cocoa producers. And the question is, what would they do with their cocoa seeds? And as I've said, for them, they invest heavily in R&D. So how they dry, there was even a video that showed how they build these trays, mechanized trays, that's the you shift it and then
seed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we have the video, but I don't know if you can find it.
Whereas our cocoa board, after 1.2 billion syndicated loads every year, still allows farmers to dry on wooden sheds, depending on sunlight. We should learn to mechanize and to invest in R&D, and to also, there's nothing wrong if you increase production
because the last
cocoa.
time Kwesi Pratt was here, and I think he saw that video, we played it, and he saw that video of creating a simple technology for shed drying the cocoa seeds, and he was asking, so is this something that we cannot do? Is it a question of something that we cannot do, or is the thinking that it's not coming?
I don't think it's that thinking, because the problem really we have in this country is that we do not support local invention.
So we don't even look that way?
So we don't look that way. If Cocoa Board was to throw out to the public, Ghanaian investors, those in mechanical engineering who design all kinds of, even to Kantanka, who design all kinds of things, that we want to support our farmers, develop more mechanized way of drying the cocoa seeds. The scientists will monitor to make sure that the seeds are not moldy. They are still they still maintain the international standards, but the drying mechanism will be different. And perhaps you could even end up drying more seeds than what you necessarily would do with just one shed aisle. That can take roughly about what, 2,000-3,000, 5,000 seeds. You could even end up drying more seeds, which goes to add to Ghana's cocoa production and brings us more money.
Okay, so let's all right. So the one we have now is the Chinese using. Okay, so this is a technology that I think Good Morning Ghana can never forget about. This video, it keeps coming up, you know, day in and day out, and it's probably because we want to drum home the technology that can be developed. If you go to KNUST, and then we'll get a lot of the students who can do
even
this.
The
this is very easy and
technical universities. Challenge them.
Exactly. These are very simple videos that they can use. Now, there's another one that we also want to see. I think that one will just go off, and then we'll view how the video, you know, goes. There's another one that has various forms of farming. It is the same type of farming we do in Ghana, except that the style is different. And these are Chinese people that have adopted a different and a more advanced way of planting and farming. I think we'll have to look at this video. We'll use it to wrap up this segment and go into other. Okay.
This is rice.
This is rice.
情人翩翩来，你就是那雪山中最美的存在。来吧，展示。心在跳，爱在烧。蓝上海黑淞河，来吧，展示。中国农民生在这片土地，这辈子。让这段旋律回荡到你在的天堂。天上的岛难免大起大落，那得西方的沙被沙中没，去西北走一个何必上火？抱紧你的我，比过往富有曾多么。来吧，展示。春去境迁花，秋来水中月。原来我
明媚春光去又来，桃花年年开。男人不在家呀，难不到女人家。春秋风冬和夏，一把一把喊一把，双手撑起天脚下。
người ấy là lựa chọn tuyệt vời của em thì em hãy ngước nhìn về bên ấy, có sao lại nhìn về bên này, có chăng sẽ
夏一年有你超人。
What all do you want from me? ARs and them 223s.
就把这首歌送给失意的你。情花也朵朵开，情人翩翩来，你就是那雪山中最美的存在。来吧，展示。心在跳，爱在烧。蓝上海黑淞河，来吧，展示。中国农民
So that's just a quick excerpts of something small, just something small of the bigger things they do in China. This is simple technology
Yes.
for, you know, smaller food farming.
Yeah. I mean, these are things that we could easily do. And that's the whole purpose of technology transfer. So when somebody imports the product, somebody definitely can play with it and figure out how to rebuild it. This is not very sophisticated
At all.
things that ordinary Ghanaians cannot do. I've seen some pretty good inventions from the Swami magazine area and all that. So I think that we just have to give our fellow Ghanaians the opportunity to showcase and for government to deploy some of these technologies to support smallholder farmers. What you were seeing had to do with more for rice production, because rice is a staple in China. So the one that he was cutting, what looked like grass, was actually cutting the rice for threshing.
Right.
The one that looked like a vacuum cleaner, they were picking the rice for bagging.
And they're bagging it.
You know, for bagging. So these are simple technology that obviously we can also support our farmers with. I don't think it's a very expensive technology. I mean, drone technology. Currently, we're using drone technology. Some farms are using drone technology to map out their farms. Some use it for fertilizer. What do you call it?
Using fertilizer to feed the farms?
Yes, and I know some also use it minimally just to do pictures and videos of their farm. But the technology is there, it's available, and I think we should just, as a country, invest in the agencies that do this, support Ghanaian local inventions for them to be able to also, this fertilizer application, what he's doing, very simple pipes. No, this is, I think, cutting potatoes.
Is it potato eggs?
Yeah, it's potato. This is train eggs, you know, like a vacuum. So it sucks the eggs and then just place and release, sucks it and release.
And then the harvesting
we should help Ghanaians to also build some of these things and then see how we deploy them to support agriculture. Especially under the programs such as Planting for Food and Jobs, where we have some control of the agricultural processes. You know, it will be interesting to see the outcomes. And then, of course, aside having to invest all this into the farms, we still have to come back to issues of distribution and storage and transporting and developing markets for some of these products. We still have issues. If you take the tomato value chain, which is one of the most saddest of the value chains, when we have tomato growing areas in Bronga, Ahafo, Bono region, Ahafo region, Upper East, Upper West, Northern Ghana, and even part of the South, Dodua area, Afianya area, able to grow tomatoes on a large scale in those areas. And yet we are happily importing fresh tomatoes from Burkina, concentrate from China, tomato paste from Italy.
About it?
If we weren't happy, we wouldn't be doing it.
Oh no.
And we'll be supporting local production of tomato paste and supporting local tomato farms. And when you see how the tomatoes are transported, it's not surprising that the farm queens prefer the Burkina tomato because, you know, it's a bit of an engineered product. But you see how our tomatoes are, they pack them in these crates, and by the time half of it comes, it's squashed. And you travel 12, 15, 16 hours in heat from the north to the south with tomatoes. And then by the time you get here, 1/3 of the product is already getting spoiled. And we also can't keep it for long, but after 1 week, 2 weeks, it's spoiled. Whereas the Burkina one, because it's improved genetically variety, it's much firmer and lasts longer. So we should, again, it comes back to R&D and how much we're willing to put into developing this product for ourselves.
All right, so that's the beautiful way of trying to feed the plants with fertilizer. Look at that. It's so interesting. What's this, chips? Well, we're just trying to throw the ideas there. These are very simple technologies that can be used. Unfortunately, it's not being done in Ghana. It's being done in China.
But under gratis, I've seen gratis I know they have an equipment for crushing pineapple.
Yeah.
To juice pineapple and for pineapple jam. I just remembered when I saw the one crushing the potato, slicing the potato.
Because when you come to this,
you guys should do a documentary on their production for them.
Gratis?
Yeah.
Okay, they should come and see
pay them
us.
a visit, and then just for quote unquote shaggy reasons to shame all of us that they are doing something.
Okay, then we'll
expose them a little.
Get ready, yes, for us. When you come to AH cafe here, where we have our breakfast, they have a technology where they use to juice the orange. It's a very small technology, something that they use in juicing and sometimes when they're doing it,
for fresh juice.
For fresh juice.
You see now.
And it's so nicely done. It means that we can actually do. I don't know if they imported the equipment they use.
If it's the orange one, which is orange color, it's likely it's imported from China. With a round big wheel, and then you put the oranges in it, then it comes one after the other, and there crashes one after the other. It's Chinese.
Oh, we didn't make it from Ghana. I was hoping.
No, it's Chinese. But we can steal the technology. After all, they stole it. You know something interesting? This Chinese, there was this one time, the U.S. Pentagon was going to unveil this fighter jet, and a week before the unveiling, China unveiled a fighter jet, which had the exact prototype of what in conclusion, the US one never came on.
Don't joke with the Chinese. That's just a bit about agriculture. Francis Kim has joined us, but we'll introduce her just pretty shortly. Let me read this, and then we'll go into it. A legal practitioner, and we'll touch on the Nana Hessi's issue, but for now, let's few minutes on this issue. Since it's in court, we'll see. It's gone to the CID. A private legal practitioner, Mr. Kwesi Afrifa, is expected to mere officials of the Criminal Investigation Department today, Monday, 19th July 2021, at the police headquarters over claims of $5 million US bribery allegation against the Chief Justice Kwesi Enin. This is after the CJ referred the allegation made against him to the CID to investigate. Ojidom Abrenu Kwesi Atadi recently revealed that his lawyer Alexander K.K. Aban of Porter Legis Consultancy, that Mr. Afrifa and O&A Legal Consult Kumasi, has a long-standing, deep-seated aversion towards Chief Justice Eni Yeboah, who Mr. Afrifa, recently claimed had demanded the bribe from the chief so as to engineer a favorable outcome for him, Ojidom, at the courts in a case which the traditional leader is slugging it out with Ghana Telecommunications Company Limited. So, Mr. Afrifa made the allegation in response to the chief's resort to the General Legal Counsel to compel the Kumasi-based lawyer to refund the remainder of the $100,000 help he paid him to grease the palms of some judges. In his allegation, Mr. Afrifa claimed Ojidom had told him that the CJ needed the money to buy some very expensive properties in Kumasi, thus the CJ, demand for the bribe. Also, Mr. Afrifa claimed that the CJ has suggested to Ojidom to replace him, Afrifa, with a different lawyer, Mr. Kutu Ampao. Now, in his official response to the allegations, however, the chief's lawyer said, "We have our client's instruction to deny these baseless allegations as effusions of the better lawyer whose deep-seated animosity against the person of the Chief Justice cannot be placated and who would seize the slightest opportunity to denigrate him. So, a bit of, okay, let me just add this one to it. Adducing further evidence to buttress this particular claim, the lawyers recounted a story told them by their clients about how Mr. Fifa had always expressed the negative emotions and made disparaging comments at the mention of the name CJ, to the extent that he even masterminded the media onslaught against the Chief Justice, the Judiciary Service. So that's just a bit I think I'll capture for now. We're expecting that Mr. Fifa will see the CID today. But let me use the opportunity to welcome Frances Essiem. She's joined us. Struggled really even to get through traffic. I don't know where you were coming from. Usually you come very early.
I was coming from Adenta, and today it was bedlam. Normally it will take an hour.
Yeah.
So the latest time you get here will be
yeah.
like 7:45, which is manageable. But just between, you can't believe it. I think about 7:15, I was just around the Uponglo traffic lights. So I thought, oh, I'll scale with it. That's why I told you that I was approaching Tetekwashi. From there to Tetekwashi, you can't believe it. Almost an hour.
Oh, then Gabriela was lucky. When
I know she stays in Adenta as well. Maybe she.
I didn't want your trouble.
Yes.
Is that to say that Francesca wanted my trouble? I mean,
you can see her bouncing because
trouble.
your program was. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Just almost an hour. You know, but I was lucky when I veered off into the airport residential area. That's via Nyaho. I was extremely lucky. From there to this place, I mean,
a little free.
It was a free flow, like maybe some 30 minutes onwards.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I had to immediately, you know, out of anxiety and stress, you know, my water gullies were already trying to play games with me. So I said, no, let me finish up. Yeah. Before coming to sit down, my sincere apologies. I mean, it's bedlam.
In fact, we apologize for your tiredness.
we need a flyover in that place.
We do. Anyway, you're welcome once again. So, Gabby, let me have you touch on it briefly, and then I'll have, as Frances catches her breath. Yeah.
It's a very interesting case. There's a parcel of land in Gomoa, Afransi, which is about 8 acres. Now, Ghana Telecom in the 50s bought this land for, I think, 850 cities, old cities at the time. Now, about 40 years, and Ghana Telecom has full ownership of this land, because everything was paid for according to land documents at Lands Commission. Now, about 40 years later, a chief resurfaces and demands that the land should be paid for again. Now, the Ghana Telecom has a microwave station on this parcel of land, and now they are demanding that they should pay 16.5 million for what they acquired in the 50s. That is the thing that has brought these three gentlemen into the public space and having their integrity questioned, and all three prominent people. Since last week that the story broke, everybody has heard who is making allegations against who, so there's no need to go into that detail. It's already known in the public space that one lawyer, in response to a petition filed at the General Legal Council by one chief, in his response, mentioned all these things. So now I heard that today, 9 o'clock, the said lawyer is to report to CID and substantiate his claims. So it's now his word against the chief, because he didn't say that the chief of staff has directly taken the money. He says what his client told him was that he needs his money because the chief of, the Chief Justice has promised
to
give him
judgments
in favor,
and
all kinds of gymnastics that they wanted to do. And if you followed the events that actually happened on that case, some of the things that he said in his letter were actually things that were done. For example, he was set aside and another senior lawyer was put in his place to follow the case through at the court. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not coming to sit here and pronounce judgment on anybody. But like the position of the NDC, which I speak for, I just want to retrace the position of the party. And the position is that looking at the stature and the caliber and the office of the Chief Justice, we think that the most appropriate thing for him to do should be to step aside temporarily, pause an investigation, an inquiry of some sort.
I accept the fact that it's the office is quite a big office and it's very influential. We cannot let it go. That's in my mind, I'm thinking Chief Justice office, it has to be investigated. But it's a mere allegation.
It is no mere allegation. That is true, but we're talking about the integrity of the office.
Yeah,
you see,
I mean,
so if somebody comes and says that is no small allegation. That is no small allegation.
Yes, but
to impugn corruption.
What's he stepping aside for?
To impugn corruption against your no mean a person like than your chief justice, no mean a person that the chairman of the Ghana Legal Council, no mean a person than the person who heads the Supreme Court of this country. I think that in his own interest and in the interest of the judicial system of this country, he should just go ahead and step aside and let due process follow and clear his name.
I think that you may want to step aside when a bit of some evidence has been given or has been shown that this is proof of what the allegation you're making. And
you see,
in
governance, I understand where you are coming from. I see in governance, perception plays a very key role.
Sure.
And the perception out there now is that somebody has influenced our Chief Justice. The one person amongst all the justices who must stand tall and must hold the echelons of the judiciary of this country. And to impugn such acts against the individual who occupies that office is not a small, it's not something that you can just brush aside and say, oh, but the man has not adduced any evidence that he's done so and so. What the man, if you follow what the man said in his statement, he said he was told to step aside so that Mr. Kotoampao would then come and lead, we don't call it lead counsel for, I don't know.
To replace the lawyer.
To replace the lawyer. And indeed, lawyer Kotoampao eventually replaced him. All right, that's why I mentioned that when you read what he said, some of the things he alludes to actually happened. So it's not like he dreamt it, he woke up one day and dreamt a scenario and he's forcing it on the Chief Justice. So it's in the interest of the Chief Justice himself to clear his name. And it's a good thing that he's informed the CID to investigate, but we as a party don't believe that the CID is a from the past how they've handled certain high-profile cases, we prefer that either Parliament or the President calls for a public inquiry or some proper investigations from their end to investigate this issue and not just have the CID investigate it. Of course, I don't discredit the CID. They are good in other cases as well. But when it's a high-profile case with this kind of office, maybe we should have rather have been the BNI and not the CID.
The CID.
That will investigate this thing. But we think that it is proper for our Chief Justice to just step aside, let an investigation go on. Clear your name. You come back and you take your role as Chief Justice if there's nothing substantial to it. What do you have to lose? When you get the opportunity to clear yourself, you know, and people are talking about natural justice and all this, but as I've said, when it comes to the law, I'm totally at sea, so I'm not going into that argument.
So let me have Frances come in here on this is the point that she thinks that, well, even though there's not been any evidence that's been adduced to this allegation, there are certain facts that were reviewed along the story that actually happened within the proceedings of the case. And so it is fair that you allow...
Well, Annie, I think this is good morning to all viewers. And again, my sincere apologies. Like Annie said, I normally come early. Yeah. So it won't happen again. Now, Annie, because you know I was one of the very first, what do you call it, guests or panelists of Metro TV.
Oh, yeah.
In these flagellant days.
Yes. In fact, the metamorphosed.
Of course. Well, Annie, I wouldn't even go onto the partisan level at all. Because you see, the 1992 Constitution, despite its problems, has stated clearly, I mean, it is trite knowledge, and it is the law. It is the law. Now, when you come to the removal of justices, in extenso, stepping aside, there are procedural provisions in the 1992 Constitution which provides for all this. That's the beauty of it. So under Article 146 of the 92 Constitution, this traffic jibes, 1992 Constitution, which provides for the removal of justices of the Superior Courts of Judicature. It clearly states in Article 1, for the removal of the justices of the Superior Courts, the following procedures. When you come to Article 3 and 4 of 146, it applies to justices of the High Courts, the Court of Appeal, and in the Constitution, then the regional tribunals. The regional tribunals. But when you come to Article 146, Section 6, 1466, you'd realize that there's a departure when it comes to the Chief Justice.
So let me read that.
Yes. I could tell you, don't worry.
Okay, just for the purposes of those who are listening. So that
let me finish, then you come in.
Okay.
So that it is known that, you know, it's a rabbit's head. So when you come to Article 466 on the Chief Justice, it is triggered by a petition. I'm limiting myself to the Chief Justice because of time. But for the others, the President, when the petition is triggered, the President will send it to the Judicial Council, and then the processes continue. And then a prima facie case must be established under 1463 and 4 for the other justices of the Superior Courts, which I've already mentioned. But when you come to Article 1466 on the Chief Justice, it is silent on the, what do you call it, on the prima facie being established in order to set up the investigative committee. It rather states impliedly that a petition must be sent to the President, who in consultation with the Council of State and on their advice or recommendation will set up the Committee of Inquiry. That is inquisitorial, the Committee of Inquiry. And the Committee of Inquiry would send its recommendations to the President, who again, in consultation and an advice of the Council of State, may suspend the Chief Justice. And I choose to add, or otherwise, because they didn't talk about suspension is not total removal. So suspension or otherwise. Now, when we come to the case law, which actually are the binding judicial precedents, in Ghana Bar Association versus the Attorney General on the removal of a Chief Justice, the Supreme Court held it upheld the provisions of 146, meaning that the status quo stands. But there was a departure from this in Ejay Chum versus the Attorney General and Akwete, the famous Akwete, in the case of Justice Aban, where a petition was sent to the president on allegations of impropriety and victimization of judges. You remember?
Yeah.
Transfer of judges on the basis that they were not obeying the instructions of the Chief Justice. Now, Justice Dateba, or I'll say Dateba JSC, let me put the title correctly before some contempt comes in. You know, a jurisprudence, you know, what I'll say, he was more of the, he brought more jurisprudence to bear on the legal profession and the, what do you call it, the Supreme Court as a whole. He, in reading the judgment of the Supreme Court, stated emphatically, in fact, that the Supreme Court had held for the plaintiff, that's Ejay Chum, that it was unconstitutional. Ejay Chum's claim and the declaration he wanted was that it's unconstitutional because the Chief Justice is a member of the judges or justices of the superior courts. So why would there be a difference between 146, which was silent, and 146(3) and 4, which gave the other judges the opportunity that a prima facie case must be established against them before the committee of inquiry with an I, not E, you know, conducted this investigation or its inquisitorial mandates. So it was held that it was unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court, in upholding the plaintiff's claim and declaring for the plaintiff that it was unconstitutional, stated that 1, he is a member of the superior court. 2, they sought, in giving the declaration, in making the declaration, they sought to correct the anomaly. And you know the mischief rule. Like Gabrielle says, she's not a lawyer, so she's not here for law. Me too, I'm a baby info, LLB. So I will just restrict myself to what is in the Constitution and what the case law has made a binding precedent. So they sought to correct the mischief, or I would say the anomaly, or absurdity is the right word, not mischief, in 146. Because then it would be selective justice. It will not be in tandem with the rule of law in accordance with human rights. And again, due process would not have been served. But listen, this one, I'll read the last portion. It was interesting that the other justices, Esioma JSC, stated that mere speculations and musings, this is what comes to bear on the case of the Chief Justice,
which is what I described as mere negation.
Mere musings, mere speculations and musings and conjectures, if entertained without a prima facie case, will lead to procedural terrorism. Modibo Okran, JSC, Justice of the Supreme Court, also stated that third generation allegations, you see where the third generation, somebody said, somebody told me, and I have, so you know, there's somebody is CJ who is being alleged to have condoned himself in some misconduct which is inappropriate for his high office. But then the purported person who would have to lead the evidence with proof of course also says, well, I don't even know the Chief Justice. I've only met him during cases that I've been involved in at the Supreme Court. And even in an instance, it was 4-1. He rather ruled against me, right? And you see, it's Modibo Okran JSC's statement is very, very apt, because again, third generation allegations with lack of first-hand knowledge without seriousness need not be characterized under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. And then the last thing on the case...
But how do you avoid the characterization?
No. He said, need not be characterized. Meaning people should not be given that opportunity. Because before a prima facie case is established, clear evidence, you know, the law is not ambiguous. It's all about clarity, fairness, transparency. The Audi or Terran pattern rule. So you say yours, I say mine. We all have the opportunity to be led in evidence by our legal counsel or ourselves if we choose to, so that due process is seen to be served. Now it is interesting that the last person to comment on this, that was Justice Asiama, has talked about procedural terrorism. Justice Modibo Okran has talked about allegations. Yes, say. Okay. They say. We hear. So it is apt conclusively to say that the Supreme Court, by these rulings from these cases, have made the precedent or have established or read into the provisions of Article 146(6) that it must be construed with Article 146(3) and 4, that a prima facie case must be established before the investigative committee is set up by the president to conduct the investigation. So we've done with the, I'm talking of the judicial precedent, case law, and all that. So now where do we stand? A lawyer who handled the clients, because the lawyer handling the client, the first lawyer handling the client, was too busy because he was in parliament then. He handed over to another lawyer, I think it's a name that has escaped me a little, who also had some inabilities. I think he claimed that there were health issues. So he asked lawyer Afrifa to do what? To come and take over the case. So it wasn't as if the chief had gone in the first instance, but whatever it may be, he is not the legal representative. They both admitted that some 300,000 Ghana cedis actually was paid, not change hands. Change hands would be the bribery thing. Has actually been paid as fees. And I don't know which lawyer you pay fees to, who again will try refunding those fees to fill in a ways and means $100,000 gap, where the admission has been made by both parties that some 40,000, also I stand to be corrected, dollars, has done what change has. That's where the changing comes in. Yes. And you see, it's not about the ways and means, because these things have been suspected all along. And it is good that these things are coming up in the public domain. And these things will be tested through the criminal procedure, through the courts, as well as the General Legal Counsel, which has no mandate to investigate the Chief Justice. We should note that down. So I'm surprised why the lawyer even chose to, the chief reported to the General Legal Counsel. So the lawyer, in his response, also alleged, and I'm using the word, I don't want content, alleged that the CJ, the client told him that the CJ had demanded bribe. But honestly, Annie, I'm a bit, I don't know how to say it. You see, it's a bit bewildering, and I'm befuddled because one, the lawyer and the CJ are all officers of the courts, or the court system. The chief is not an officer of any court. And hypothetically, if I am the lawyer for the chief, Annie, wouldn't I be the person rather to approach a member of the bench, I would rather, I'm saying hypothetically,
Yeah.
I would rather approach the member of the bench, because how can a chief whom a ruling of 4-1 has been given against be the same person to go and do what? Try and pull the chestnuts out of the fire.
Yeah.
It's a bit strange. Something doesn't seem right with the whole narrative both ways. Until the entire issue has been thoroughly investigated in accordance with the 1992 Constitution, in accordance with the binding precedent, the Chief Justice.
So you support the fact that it has to be investigated?
It's not. After the investigation,
it has to happen.
It's ongoing. That is even not the issue. It is ongoing and it has to happen. But
I'm asking that because there are, for example, Kweku Bako has continuously said that it has to be rubbished because, I mean...
No, that is his democratic opinion.
Right.
My opinion is that this affects the highest office of the judiciary. Right. And for confidence and competence, it cannot be brushed under the carpet. So that next time, like Justice Modibo Okran said, without first-hand knowledge or evidence, third-generation allegations from A to B to C must not be characterized. In the establishment of a prima facie case, all the issues will come out. You remember when pardon me, with due apologies to Madam Charlotte to say, you remember when the commissioners were accusing themselves left and right over contracts, over what do you call it? Financial malfeasance and all those things, as well as some more practices in the electoral system. They were accusing themselves, and eventually a petition based on their own accusations was sent to the president, and in accordance with the Constitution as to how the EC issue should be handled, it was sent. Somebody triggered the petition for removal, and it was sent to the Chief Justice as the law demands. So I'm saying we should not politicize, blow our heads of this issue. I heard Sami Jemfi talking. So you see, lawyers must actually lead. We must not misinform the public. That is why we say rule of law. Always go to the Bible of law, which is the Constitution. And if you look at the supremacy of the Constitution, I mean, we come on Article 2.1, and even in this very instance, Article 1271 was quoted that the president, nobody can interfere with the independence of the judiciary or in its functions. You see where the case converges, or with its functions. So I mean, if you are telling the Chief Justice to step aside, you are interfering. If you're asking the Chief Justice to step aside, in effect, you are interfering in the function of the judiciary, because the law does not allow the president, as we sit, to set up an inquisitorial committee of inquiry until a prima facie has been established. So I will drop it for now, that let us go strictly in accordance with the law. Because you see, if we are not careful, tomorrow it will be the removal of a president. Tomorrow it will be the removal of some officer of state without any allegation. We've had instances where there's been so much noise, so much hula baloo, brouhaha, and at the end of the day, Annie, you realize that people have been removed from office. You remember the Horatio, is it Okine? I think it has something to do with the GRA or customs or so on. People will make allegations without evidence. In the end, he succeeded in court through several appeals. But there was no way they were taking him back into the service. And the compensation, where does it come from? The state. But when we undermine the judiciary, and I've seen an emerging trend of just bad-mouthing anything and anybody at all. If we do not curtail our tongues, like the Bible says, if we do not let what comes out of our mouth be elucidating, be decent, be enlightening, be encouraging, in accordance with our normative values as a society and our traditions, one day we would all regret, as some people did in Hotel Rwanda. If you watch that film and saw how just statements inciting hate speeches which were carried forth contributed to genocide, my sister, we should be careful. Okay, and Annie, so just the last thing before you continue. You see, I'm a bit concerned or worried about the trend where we all go me, like some hawks who have misplaced their boat or who have not been fed for days. You see, we trip our mouths like Patriot missiles flying from Israel to either Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, and then flying also from the Mediterranean states also to Israel.
Who are you describing right now?
No, I'm saying that it's Ghanaian society.
Okay.
It's not only politicians, so it's not only politicians. You have so-called experts, some in quotes, whether civil society or community-based or everybody cashing in on talk. And I think we've listened through last week of this emerging alerts of terrorism, which will be careful. See, as if in Ghana we want something to happen. Yapede BBC want something to happen. Then it's like the trees will say, "Ya so." Then we come to the realization, or we are confronted with the reality. We should be extremely careful. You see how COVID, we're taking it so easy in the face of the Delta strain. I mean, we should be extremely careful. So I would say, for me, I support an investigation in total, holistically, but in accordance with the provisions of the law, binding precedents arising out of judgments and rulings of case law.
Kukubaku said, who changes the counsel, who changes a counsel for a client? The client or the CJ? Isn't the answer so simple? Obviously, the client. He asked. You didn't add your name, but I said, good morning, Annie. You're looking super. Thank you. It says that please read your article in relation to the 146. I have realized something that is a little inaccurate with the lady's interpretation. Have a Tessanot says, it says that Shraj is a body strong enough to investigate the matters with regards to the Chief Justice, you say. You see, that's why, so that I want all of us to be on the same page. The article 1466 says that where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of 2 justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom shall be appointed chairman by the President and appointed President, and 3 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor members of Parliament, nor lawyers. So judiciary, legislature, Council of State, these 3 should not be members. But let's go to the 3 and 4. 3 and 4 says that the President received the petition for the removal of justice in Superior Court other than the Chief Justice, or for the removal of the chairman of the Regional Tribunal. He shall refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall determine whether there is a prima facie case. 4. Where the Chief Justice decides that there is a prima facie case, he shall set up a committee consisting of 3 justices of the Superior Courts or chairman of the Regional Tribunals, or both, appointed by the Judicial Council, and 2 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor members of Parliament, nor lawyers, who shall be appointed by Chief Justice or an advice of the Council of State. So just so we are on the same page, those are the 3 clauses I've read under Article 146. Now,
I mentioned some case laws which have brought about
Someone
yes.
wants to ask this.
Yeah.
Good morning. Is it Francis Esiam? Is she still a member of the MPP?
What's the person's problem?
What is your problem? She says I should ask you.
I'm a leading member of the MPP, a communicator of the party, an appointed member of the National Communications Team, not the National Headquarters Directorate. This is the overarching umbrella communication team under Madame Oboshisai, which sets out the parameters for the communication of the party. And again, I'm the CEO appointed by His Excellency, the Primus Inter Pares of the Republic of Ghana, Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Chairman of the ECOWAS, what do you call it? Of the ECOWAS, is it ECOWAS Council?
Yes.
And also, what do you call it? The Chair of the SDGs, the Special Development Goals, whose work has actually allowed Ghana currently to be on the UN Security Council. So, as CEO of Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, I belong 100% politically to the New Patriotic Party, because I exited a long time ago as a CPP born, as born into a CPP family, and having migrated into the NDC and migrated into the DFP, E-switch under Dr. Beda Samoa, I finally zoomed and switched and landed in the MPP, like the satellite that landed on the moon.
But
At times you have to lighten the atmosphere. But Annie, you see the case law.
So
let's remind ourselves of the case law.
Yeah, we have just a few minutes to go, but let me add this. Precision. I said this is Gokubaku precision. I said it is useless and malicious, but supported investigations. Okay, so he's clarifying. It's not like he's against the investigation, right?
I know my boss.
It's useless and malicious.
Yes.
After all, the CJ himself had invited investigation. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Now, investigation will vindicate my opinion that it is a useless and malicious allegation. My two pesos. He's adding, please read to clarify my position. Thanks, and I've done just that. So it's not like he's against the, the investigation, but for precision's sake, he's just clarifying.
So he's rubbish it like Modibo Okra.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
JSC.
Yeah. To be fair to Abdul Malik Kukubako, although he is of the opinion that the allegations against the Supreme Court suffers from lack of particularly, this is Obama, particularity and coherence, he also makes a point that he agrees with the conducting investigation into the matter, to bring finality to it. That said, I doff my hat out of Madame Erabna Frances Etiam, who, for an in-depth analysis she brought to bear on this wobbly allegation. She's speaking facts, citing authorities to back her case. This is what we want to hear, not the usual rhetoric of step aside. Okay. So Obama also sent that in to support the point of Kwekubako. Francis says that, please, with all due respect, ask Madam Francis ACM. Oh, that one I can't ask it. But if you're talking, you don't sit in an attention position to talk. You have to do science. Good morning, Annie. The case against the Chief Justice cannot be washed under the carpet. He should step aside for transparency's sake. From Alhaji Haruna, since that we have obviously clarified what the law requires for you to ask the Chief Justice to step aside. I think it takes a certain level of procedure to do that. So if there's a group that is interested in making the Chief Justice step aside, you definitely know what to do. And we have taken our time at least to go through the law. So if anyone has a case we discuss. Okay, Chumbwafo, let me add Chumbwafo. Good morning, Annie, and great morning to the beautiful Gapster and big sister Accra Erabna Frances. Big sis.
Which Kojo is that?
Kojo Chumbwafo.
My
Long
own
time
nephew.
no see.
Chumbwafo.
You have abandoned me. He said you have abandoned him.
My
Your
nephew.
newfound vocation in law, dear. We will stop. When will you stop going to school? Okay, he's asking. He's
Tell him
texting
that
you
we'll
from
meet in
US.
Ekropon.
Okay.
We are waiting for Mokola. You see, Annie, if I were outside this country, I'll be a solicitor par excellence. I'll be called lawyer or Batampa Francis Rablisiam. But Ghana, all those people who never wrote exams have set this thing for us. All those people, you know, the thing started in 2012. So anybody who qualified pre-2012 has never written a law exam to enter Makola.
Okay.
When Harry Idrisu and co, you know, when we do a master's in Lagos, my sister, I said I wanted LLB behind my name after my master's. So do you know, when Harry and co went to go and do the qualified certificate in law, I said, what is a QCL? Not knowing, I would have been better off if I'd followed them. Right. QCL. And now, so I'm making an appeal that the law village, they should hurry up before we go and do demonstration.
Good morning, Annie. I love Madam Francis Siam. Her wit, oratory skills, and articulate delivery has made my day. The analysis is simple and excellent. Today has been more of information than the usual propaganda from friends of the other side. Mandy Klein Williams sent that in. Thank you, Mandy. I think she's heard you. We have a few minutes to go, but let's touch on the Nana Hesse Ojuri's issue that came over the weekend. I'm sure you saw it. I'm sure, Gabriel, I didn't see anything on your wall, but I'm sure you may have come across some of the posts. You know, of course I did. The only thing I posted was what's their name? The Damsel group, you know, were requesting for the removal of Nana Hesse Ojuri from the Flagstaff House. And so they released a statement, in campaigning for the removal of Nana Hesse. I hear he has apologized. I haven't really seen the apology, but I think it would be fair to go on his wall and check how the apology came in. But Damsel's group says that the headline is Damsel Foundation calls for the immediate dismissal of presidential staffer Nana Hesse Ojuri over his abusive sexual comments about minor Farida Mahama. And that's because Farida Mahama is daughter of President Mahama, former President Mahama, apologies, and she celebrated her birthday a few days ago, so her father posted her pictures, and the unfortunate comments came from Nana Hesse. So, Gabriela, I'm sure you were affected more because she's daughter of your flag bearer 2020.
Actually, for me, it's not about she being the daughter of the flag bearer. The Child's Act, all right, 1998-560, defines a child. Says, definition, for the purpose of this act, a child is a person below the age of 18 years. For me, it's a simple issue. His comment was inappropriate, it was sexist, it was disgusting. Can you read what he said to the people of Ghana?
I just find it inappropriate. I mean, I have it, but okay,
it has already comment on it, because I'm not going to miss words on
what he said.
On what he said, it is despicable that a grown-ass
of
man
his age, repeating
who is 40-something years old, will take to his Facebook feed when he has over 20-something followers and tell them, hold on, let me pick the... It's despicable. And I'm very disappointed that Nana Hesse Ojuri, you really, really went that low. I'll pick the paragraph.
So, okay, so I'm on his wall, and he already wrote on a red background, sincere apologies. I don't know how sincere, was that sincere, but he says sincere apologies. But what you did was, you know, to post the lady's picture. Okay, so my producers already projected it.
Now, when you read this, former President John Mahama's daughter Farida, she has fully developed and well endowed, very manageable. Hey. What do you think? What nonsense is behind this post? For a grown-ass 40-something-year-old man
I'm not
to conceive these thoughts for a child who is under 18 years old. This girl should be like, what, 14, 15, 16 years old. And you are looking at her and already desiring sexual imaginations and developing sexual imaginations for a child that young. Are you sick? Is he sick? He's my friend on Facebook. I've known him for roughly over almost 10 years. But I mean, this is the lowest it was for me. I deliberately chose not to respond, because if I had responded, the anger that was brewing in me, I probably would have unleashed all kinds of missiles at the guy. That apology of an apology he issued on his Facebook page is not even worth the data that he used to type that message. He goes around on his Facebook after posting this nonsense.
Yeah, but
apologies,
I think
what the hell?
Nana Hesse, if you really sincerely apologize for what you said, you see, when you even write a defamatory comment about somebody, it's published on the front page of the newspaper, and you have to retract and do a, what do you call it, a rejoinder. You need to do it the same way you caused the damage. You put the lady's picture up, and then you put the comment on it. So if you really, in my opinion, if you really are sorry and you want to apologize, don't just write sincere apologies. If I really want to scrutinize, I'll ask you sincere apologies for what? People will assume that it is for this comment.
He's not the only one.
Because
there's another guy who I hear is a staffer in the vice president's office, who was also commenting about the girl's makeup, and also casting the same kinds of aspersions, sexually inclined.
Oh, really?
About this girl. What's wrong with her? That makeup she's wearing. I was sitting here wearing artificial eyelashes. Do you see artificial eyelashes on her? This is just ordinary face powder with lip gloss. But because they put a little shimmer on her face, she's supposed to have done some extraordinary makeup. That's her makeup compared to Samira Baumer's makeup. That guy, what's his name? Hesse. He should go and apologize formally to Farida. He should apologize to the former head of state, the former president and his family. And then to President Akufo-Addo and Madame Femopari. If this guy is retained for the next administration, I'll be very disappointed in your government. For you to sit down and tolerate this kind of behavior inside the presidency. It is untoward, it is disgusting, and it is offensive.
Sexual
abuse.
The Children's Act. Is it sexual
abuse? The Children's Act. He can go to jail.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, that you can also take it up if you are this angry. You know, than even trying to...
The damsel group is led by a lawyer. She and her activist girls are capable of taking it. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't pursue legal issues until it affects me personally. But what I will say is that I'll be very disappointed in Akufo-Addo and his Madame Frema.
Can we say President Akufo-Addo?
President Akufo-Addo and Madame Frema, if he retains his position as executive assistant in the president, he's a junior rank staffer.
I'll be very disappointed.
Honey, I am a gender advocate, expert, because I mastered in gender and development. So it is not the lipping gender, but this one, the krata or techi, master to papi B. And being one of the famous and known women advocates. When I say women advocates, building of the critical mass, encouraging our girls, and so on. The comments, obviously, are distasteful. We would not politicize it. We will look at it as if it was, I have 6 girls. I have 5 grandchildren. 3 or 4 are girls. More are coming. Now, when you have girls, you're practically having a litter. And I would say that the comments were distasteful. Probably, you see, words, language make a society. In fact, language defines a society or a group or a nation. And I will say emphatically that he has apologized. But I would still entreat my brother to actually consult and make amends, not by a Facebook apology or a wall apology. You know me, I'm not too much into those things.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that his apology is not even...
I'm saying that I'm not politicizing the issue, with due respect.
Yeah.
I'm saying the comments are distasteful. It is not in good taste. So all that we're saying is that, you see, at times, if we listen to communicators in this country, especially of the leading political parties, you know, I was talking about the trimming of our mouths and so on.
Right.
We use words unadvisedly. We use words, and you see, you have used the word endowed. Probably you may not have had sexual harassment at the back. You think you were putting in a barb.
But that's what it connotes.
But it can land you somewhere. That's why I'm saying that. Words, what comes out of our mouth, is extremely important. I attended a function recently. You know, that's the tongue. The tongue. And a police officer had written a marvelous book on the tongue and what it can do in the face of the acerbic attacks, vocal attacks on personalities of all types. It's not only politicians, so this man, you can be sitting here somewhere. Anybody, because of this social media, somebody will attack you for no reason. And I'm saying it is not in good taste at all.
Right.
So, on behalf of my brother, I think an apology acceptable to former President Mahama, His Excellency former President Mahama, and Her Excellency former First Lady Lordina Mahama,
and Farida herself
will be. And I'm saying, because I just said former First Lady Lordina Mahama, because I have to put the appellations or the titles right. Because when you want to cool people down, when you want to calm people down, like the heat that is on by my side, you need to also do what? Say things like the guy say, no, one within some, something that will calm tempest. And as for the others, I think it's within the purview of the Chief of Staff and the President and so on and so forth. Because we've heard things.
Right. We have to.
But you know, finally, all I'm saying is that the girl is 14 years. And you know, this was the US or somewhere, but again, I would greet our second lady, our first lady, Madame Rebecca, and I would Rebecca Kufado, and I would greet our second lady, Her Excellency Samira Baumia, Her Excellency Rebecca Kufado. But please, this issue of makeup, you see my age, even under the stress, you see my lip, and then the makeup and the wig. If I take it off right now, and you see all the gray hairs, you will say, "Aye, what's this coming?" So please, I'm saying that when we are talking, I beg, as ladies, women, females, let us all try and respect our rights a little. I wish Samira hadn't been brought in, because she has nothing to do with this at all.
No.
Her makeup is a personal right. Gabriel, if I tell you your eyelashes are like talons, you know, you flip. So on this note, I'll say that, Farida, we owe you an apology. All the females, all the women, owe you, we are apologizing. MPP.
For not containing your man.
The MPP,
you should raise the
women, we are apologizing on behalf of our party member, and we will go behind and do a lot of consultation and come properly, so that those two who normally insult the president's daughters to the hilt should also desist. Or else you'll be having it crossfiring. But only the American. Wubufu party fubufu wanye into Gabriela Ajobro NDC Ajobro Yabachani Apache.
Okay, let's take a breather. We've actually with GMD trends. So
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
The search for a reliable partner.
Harriet Pretty has joined me. What do we have today?
Okay, so over the weekend, GPL week 34 was trending. Bedu Kobi was trending, and also photos of Mahamas.
Bedu Kobi was still trending.
Yes, he was still trending. He has replied all those that were mocking him. So let's take something from the GPL. Now, the Ghana Premier League witnessed some intriguing drama at the bottom of the table with 5 teams battling for survival. Now, with Hearts already crowned champions early on Saturday, despite their 1-0 loss against West Africa Football Academy, WAFA, in Segakope, attention was switched to the bottom half. Elmina Sharks delivered a superb away performance as they edged Asante Kotoko 1-0 at the Obuasi Len Clay Sports Stadium. Now, comments on Twitter. This one says, Father God Almighty, I come to you with my prayers and sacrifices. Please save these 2 teams. And Legon City and Liberty Professional relegation for me. Now, unfortunately for you, Legon City lost. And this one also says that at the Ghana Premier League comes to an end, how the top 4 relegation ladder looks like. GPL top 4 teams: Heart of Oak, Asante Kotoko, WAFA, Ediana Sports, GPL relegated teams, Ediana Staffs, Liberty Professionals, and Inter Allies. Now, over the weekend, I know you're a Hearts of Oak supporter.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
How's it feeling like when Hearts won?
Well, I mean, I don't know if people are pretending and trying to hide the FIFA letter that is trending. You know, even GMG Trends is trying to hide the letter that is not trending. But I know it's part of the trending. So if you ask me how the feeling is like, we don't talk much. We don't make so much noise.
We just show action.
We do. We just show action. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, Prophet Bedu Kobi has finally reacted to those mocking him over his failed prophecies about the Copa America finals and Euro Championship finals. Man of God in the prophecy said God revealed to him that Brazil will beat Argentina to win the cup and England also beat Italy. Both prophecies failed woefully. Now, I have a video of him, you know, talking about all those that were mocking him. Let's have a look at that video.
The Super Bowl prophecy I've said, which has not come to pass, except these 2. Which, and I'm saying it before I say it, there is no prophet without a failed prophecy. No prophet. Are you God? Now I want to make a woman who say, they should show me one. If prophets prophesy everything and comes to pass, then every church member would have succeeded. Sir, I will show you the missing key they don't know. And then somebody will say, Bedikobi went to a Pambo. The day he went to a Pambo took from Bedikobi what was his, and from that time, just some few days ago, I prophesied it has come to pass. Even right now, my prophecy about South Africa is happening.
Na yakeka beriko biko pambo okon nchen opambo GBV nsem pieces hada na gi OGV nsem no ontumi ya bibio abra ana ya ma sha hu nkoma sha bibi nkoma na pem sesi amika say I cause was South Africa.
I will prophesy till I die.
And
any carnal man who doesn't understand prophecy should sit down to be taught about prophecy. They killed TV Joshua. I will allow them to kill me.
Let's pick some reactions, which were quite hilarious on Twitter. We will pick those reactions. But moving on, Mahama's son actually has a beautiful wife, and they celebrated 1 year anniversary, which was so beautiful. And if time will permit me, let's look at those reactions.
Okay, so I think
these
are reactions of the football.
For the football. Let's move on to Mahama's son's marriage. Yes, that is so beautiful. I mean, people are commenting that it's a wise decision to have married a white woman. I mean, they are so beautiful together.
I am so indifferent about marrying a black or a white. I mean, I am so indifferent. I don't care. I mean, it's okay to marry a white, and it's okay to marry a black.
Yeah, I mean, it's your decision, whoever you want to marry. Lastly, Farida Mahama also turned 14 over the weekend, and as I heard Frances talking about that one, a lot of people were congratulating Mahama on how beautiful his daughter looks, and there were some sexist comments I do not even want to talk about. So this was also trending over the weekend. I mean, that is where I bring an end to.
Unfortunately, her birthday this year didn't. The trends took a negative, turn because of the comments made by the presidential staffer. Rather unfortunate, but I think that we just have to watch. And following Nana Hesse's, post, he's indicated that we learn every day. So I just hope that honestly, you are learning on a daily basis. You just don't speak because you have to speak.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Yeah, thank you, Harriet,
you
for the trend. And I'm telling you, Francis Asiem's comment on Nana Hesse will trend maybe by tomorrow.
We'll bring it back tomorrow.
Exactly. So thank you for watching. We're joining Michael in the Ekuya Boahima studio as he brings us details and updates, all the interesting things in sports.
We're on air. Hello and welcome to Metro News Night, live from our studios here at number 8 Avenue Extension here in Accra. My name is Noble Crosby Annan.
And I am Ifia Fusua. Coming up, our top stories now.
A very good
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.